How are you, Gooner family? It's your boy Boston Gunner Billy. How was transfer deadline day for you? I feel like I know the answer to that question. Most people seem to be pretty stoked. I'm thrilled. I really think that the fan base is pretty much happy across the board for the first time in a while. Maybe since our undefeated run last season. The purpose for my video tonight is to basically answer the questions that you folks sent my way, which I greatly appreciate. So I had done a post and asked for some questions specifically to answer for you guys tonight in a video form. So much appreciated in sending over great questions. There were actually more than I expected. So I had to sort of pick and choose, and I've got 8 or 9 here that I'd like to answer. Try to keep it as brief as possible. I know people have things to do, and I don't want to be pumping out hour-long videos either. The purpose for me to having these conversations with you guys, doing these videos, is basically to just extend my reach, get to know more Gooners. We're all fans of the same thing that we love, and that's kind of the whole mantra behind my Twitter account, and hopefully you guys can feel that. I love talking about the club, and as you probably know, I don't get a lot of that here in my everyday life. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, in the USA, and we've got some fans here. Boston's a big sports town, and a lot of people follow Liverpool because Fenway Sports Group owns the Boston Red Sox and owns Liverpool. So they market Liverpool heavy around here on the radio. They have games, the friendlies here, quite a bit. They actually just played at Fenway when that really nasty tackle happened in the Liverpool preseason match. That was at Fenway here in Boston. So, but we do have a lot of Gooners here. But anyhow, so forget those Gooners. I'm here for you guys tonight. I appreciate your time. I'm going to get into some questions. But first, the shout-outs. I just have a couple real quick. Some friends of mine that I've met via the platform have their own channels as well. So I'd like you guys to take a peek at them if you haven't already, if you don't already subscribe. So the first is the Mank, the Psycho, Cy, the Mank Goonian. So he's from England, right? He is a passionate bastard and a funny guy. If you don't follow him already, it's Cy, S-I-C-O, like Psycho, Mank, M-A-N-C. His channel is called Gunner Talk, and sort of similar format to mine. He asks questions you guys ahead of time, and he'll do a video, or he'll just, if there's something going on newsworthy, he'll do a really in-depth video. Smart kid when it comes to the club. I don't know if he's smart in his everyday life. Probably not, Cy, right? But no, he's a good shit. You should definitely follow him. Also, Andrew, the Hinkley Gooner. Andrews has a channel that, I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, but it reminds me of when I was growing up. My dad and my uncles and my older brother, they would be all around the television set, watching the Boston Bruins or the Patriots or the Red Sox. And I used to be in awe of how knowledgeable they were. You can tell that Andrew is a wise Gooner. He has seen some things in his life, probably good, bad, and indifferent. So, but his channel is called From Dial Square to Where. And I'll put all these in the description. So, but in his handle on Twitter, I believe is just Andrew the Hinkley Gooner, I believe. I'll check it out. I'll put everything in the description. And last but not least is Sonny. Sonny, you guys probably know. He's got more muscles than a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Great guy. Also based in England. We have a kind of a personal connection, if you will. Something that has brought us together is cancer, unfortunately, has touched both of our lives. So we sort of have vibed on that. But first and foremost on Arsenal, he's a solid dude, very, very passionate. Also, there's sort of a theme with people that I tend to vibe with because I'm the same way. He just kicked off his channel as well, SonnyTv Unfiltered, and again, that'll be in the description. I'm going to be doing some collaborations with him. Sunday, actually, I believe he is interviewing Kevin Campbell, which would be awesome. So I'll put all of their information in the description. You guys should totally check those out. So on to your questions after this fantastic deadline day. I couldn't be happier with some of the questions that came over. First off, Tommy boy, my boy Tommy, my favorite Swedish Gooner. Just a joy to follow. I'm sure people are nodding their heads that know who Tommy is. It's the Tom Jah, J-A-H, on Twitter. He is just such a pleasant guy. Loves the club, super knowledgeable. Just a blast to follow. Definitely somebody you want to follow. So anyhow, his question is, which U23 or under 23 player should make the first team this year? It's actually, I'm glad that this is a difficult question to answer, because we haven't had this much youth that is straight fire, in a long time. Think about the young players. You can just rattle them off. It's exciting right now. But I would say, if I can include Martinelli in that, even though he hasn't come up through our system, I would say Gabriel Martinelli for sure. I think that kid is special. He's in there. And also, I think Reece Nelson is the one this season you're going to see the most of, though. I think he's going to get the most chances of any of the youngsters, as long as he continues to, improve and put 100% effort in. It's his time. The fan base is ready. They're all backing Reece Nelson. If he starts off slow, if he makes mistakes, do not get on his back. That's one of the things about Iwobi. Think about how great Iwobi was when he first started. There were just like flashes of brilliance left and right, and everybody was excited. And as soon as things started to go south, he started to, struggle a bit. The fans turned on him, man. I don't care what anybody says. He became one of those players that people, go after. Not as bad as Mustafi or Xhaka, but just too much. Last season, I agree. There were times where I was just like, shoot it. What are you doing? But the hate just went too far. I'm glad he's getting a fresh start. Anyway, so to continue answering the question, Martinelli, Reece Nelson, but the one I'm most excited about, who I don't know will crack the team a lot this year, is Saka. Saka is 17 years old. And if you saw the Barca match, the kid's at the Camp Nou at 17 years old. And it didn't even seem to affect him. At 17, what were you doing? I was like hiding porno mags under my mattress, you know what I mean, from my mother. And I don't know, man. 17 years old at Barcelona and with confidence taking on the defense. There's just something special there, man. I'm telling you, that kid is special. So, kind of a long-winded answer, but it was just too tough to answer quickly, Tommy. So, Bampy Gooner, Frank, another one I like, from South Wales. He asked me, would I move Ainsley Maitland-Niles to DM once Bellerin returns? Mid is his natural position, right? But right now, all I can think about is how thin we are, so it's tough for me to tell him to go work another position, but I think so. I think I would. He's sort of like a Swiss Army knife, right? He seems to be able to play in a couple different positions, but we're watching him sort of struggle a little bit in the preseason at right back. Bellerin's going to come back, hopefully healthy, in a couple of months, hopefully sooner, and take that role. Will he get time with this roster this season at defensive mid? Probably not a lot. But would I like to see him play in defensive mid when we play in the League Cup or even in the early stages of the Europa League? Sure, I'd love to see Emery experiment with him. I think the best game I've ever seen him play, he played DM. So I am interested to see if Emery will use him there and what he can do. So the next question is from Carmen. Carmen from Chile, one of my favorite, the sweetest Goonerette. She's just a peach. I don't know how to explain it any other way. Also very positive, but a smart cookie. Okay, guys, so be careful. She's a sharp one. Thoughts on David Luiz? Because she had seen that some people were giving him some flack. I think a lot of people, when they heard the name Upamecano, and I don't know how many of them really knew who he was, but once they saw his YouTube videos and once they saw the buzz around him and they saw he looks like a replica of Koulibaly, he's massive, he looks like a brick shithouse ready to just smash. People got excited and people were like, that's the one I want. Oh, and he's 60 million is the bid we sent over, by the way? Yeah, that's the one. But it didn't happen, and not for right now. So David Luiz is a completely serviceable center back. It's not the one that's going to wow us, but like I said in an earlier video, he's extremely sharp with long passes, through balls, deep, long, crazy passes. I mean, he's his offensive skill set and his footwork. He's good with the ball, and Emery really, really likes that. I think even if he does have a mistake on defense that cost us a goal, he's a guy that can help us get it back. Like I said in another video, we're going to win a lot of matches 3-2, 4-2. We're going to score a lot of goals. I think the defense is probably going to let in a decent amount of goals too. Not as bad as last season, but I'm preparing for that at least. But we'll see what happens. Second question is, what are my thoughts about the Arsenal January window? My thoughts are, I don't think we're going to do a whole hell of a lot, just like last winter. I feel like, Emery and the boys used up the budget. They got as many players as they could last summer, and they did the same this summer. And I think maybe someone on loan, probably a center back, is what it's going to end up shaking out to be come January, but we'll see. If they were to go ahead and use it, if I was going to, make a suggestion, it would certainly be on the defense. I think we've got enough midfielders. We've got enough forwards. I feel like we're light at right back. We need another right back, especially if Maitland-Niles is naturally a mid and they plan on putting him back in the midfield. We're going to need another right back. And I would take another center back. So one of those, both of those. Actually, we can't really do a loan because it's 2 per season. And we've already got one on loan with Sabalo, so we can only do one more. So we wouldn't be able to get both. So I guess I would say center back. Hopefully it is somebody that we can get excited about. I don't know if Leipzig's going to move Konate or Upamecano come January. Not likely. I think next summer, guys, by the way, is going to be the center back summer. I think that is when Arsenal is going to spend their Pepe money or somewhere in that neighborhood on a massive, massive piece, a center back. We've got to strengthen the spine. We're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. So I digress. But Carmen, thank you so much for the question. Andrew, who I referenced earlier, who has his channel that I mentioned, also sent over a couple of questions. What time will I get up Sunday for the game? I'm lucky. It's at 9 o'clock a.m. My kids will be up at 7, and I'll be up at 4 or 5 to go for a run. So I will be up and ready to go. The West Coast folks have it much more difficult. So I'm on the East Coast, and 3 hours behind me is California. Those guys have it tough. So, Andrew, I'm only 5 hours behind you folks in England, so it's not too bad. His second question is match prediction. 3-1 Arsenal. We're on the road. We're going away. Everyone's going to be nervous about that, going away to Newcastle, but we are going to come out flying. The club is going to the beginning of the year is going to be a lot of fun, I can just tell. 3-1, we'll concede. We won't get the clean sheet. But, Oba's going to score a couple goals. He already looks razor sharp. So 3-1 is my prediction there. And last but not least, who will my player of the season be? Definitely going to be Aubameyang. This dude has legit lit it up from the second he came over from Dortmund in the January window 2 seasons ago. He has done nothing but score goals. They've asked him to play on the flank. He has gelled with Lacazette. A lot of people were like, we can't play 2 center forwards. It's impossible. Nope. Those guys learn how to play together. In fact, in an interview I saw that right away the first words they said to each other when they gave each other daps and said hello was, I hope we can play together. And, Oba said, me too. So anyhow, I think that the player of the season will definitely be Oba, but we'll see. A lot of weapons. We could score a hell of a lot of goals. My boy Darren Dupree out in Idaho, USA, by way of Detroit, Michigan, I believe. Big Red Wings fan. We talked a little hockey last night. Can we get on a roll this season until our defense, or while our defense gets healthy? I think that we're going to start okay. The schedule isn't as difficult as last year where we opened against City and then Chelsea. I think that we are going to start off all right. I think we're actually going to do well the first half of the season. Will we have our typical November, December, or December lull, more or less? I don't know. But I think we're going to start well. Again, guys, and going back to it, we're going to score some goals. So I think the firepower that we have will help us, and that'll give Holding and Tierney and Bellerin time to get healthy. But the back four got a hell of a lot stronger after today. So next question is from Mitch. So Mitch, everyone talks 21. He's out in London as well. Holding versus Louise. I put these questions next to each other because they were about the defense. So Holding versus Louise once Holding is healthy. Who's going to start with Socrates, I think, is another way to ask that question. I think you may see them play together. I know they don't always play in the same, I know they typically play on the same side, but I do think it'll be Socrates and Louise to start. Once we get Holding healthy, I think you're going to see Holding and Socrates get some time together, only because they started the campaign so well together last year. Before Holding's injury, I thought that they were an absolutely fantastic pairing. They had some great games. Then Holding went down, we saw more of Mustafi, and then the defense just sort of, went to shit. Not to throw it all on Mustafi, but the irony there is it was when Holding went down, we started to slowly get worse defensively. I liked all three, and it depends on how Emery's going to play the defense or the lineup. I kind of feel like he does like to tweak things versus different opponents, so you may see a back three, and then you'll see all three of them: Socrates, Holding, and David Luiz. So, but I think for the most part, you're going to get a mix of them. But my personal favorite pairing is, I hate to say it, even though we just bought David Luiz, I like Socrates and Holding together. I've seen them do well together, and that's the evidence that I have. Nothing against David Luiz. Who is a better? Another question is, who's a better Xhaka replacement in the squad? Also from Mitch. So I think what he's asking is, what other defensive midfielder do we have, or what other player could sort of push him out? The best way for me to answer that is how I see our midfield, the best midfield possible. I want to start with Mesut Ozil. I want to see how he does, because I know that Emery won't take the laziness and not tracking back, and if he struggles, if he's not running as hard, whatever it may be, Emery's proven he'll take his ass off at halftime. See you later. We've got other players that can do this now. So I'm going to start with him, and then I want Lucas Torreira, and I want Ceballos. That's who I want for my starting three. But I would like to see Xhaka as well, because my issue with Granit Xhaka is everyone's issue. He has that one awful blunder every game, and it seems to always cause an odd man rush coming back the other way, and they tend to score. He also takes has a sense to have some pretty bonehead tackles. He's been here for 3 years. He's definitely serviceable. If he starts for us, I won't be upset. But I want to see Lucas Torreira, and I want to see Ceballos and Ozil. That's how I want to start it, if it was me picking the squad. That said, it sounds like I'm bashing Granit Xhaka, but I'm happy to see him as well. But again, just like with Mesut Ozil, I like Emery because he'll rip his ass off the pitch, and he'll sub him off. On to the lovely Nat. So Natalie at Natalie AFC. So Nat, you're from Madrid. How did you end up a Gooner? How did you end up an Arsenal fan? How did you not end up a fan of either Atletico or Real Madrid? I want to hear your story. But how do I feel about Tierney and the potential of him being injury prone? So I did look up his injury history when we were first linked with him, and he has been hurt a decent amount. This injury that he's coming back from is no joke either. I know there's different levels of it, and supposedly his is like the one that's the least concern, but he did have major surgery, hernia surgery. So I have concerns, but he's young, and I think that's why I have a lot of concerns, because I see that this kid could be, he just looks like captain material. He looks like he could be with us for a long time, for 6-7 seasons. I want him to stay healthy. The good news is that he's coming to Arsenal, who have one of the best facilities, one of the best training staffs, and he'll be very well taken care of. And Emery's not going to rush him out there. Emery's going to drive everybody crazy because he doesn't always play the new players right away. But when people get pissed about that, I usually say to them, it's because he is bringing them along, he's giving them tape to watch. He's a very, very tactical coach. Lots of film, lots of homework assignments for the players, so good. If they're not ready, then I don't want them out there. And I trust my coach to put out the right squad when all 11 are ready, and ready for that specific opponent. They've done their homework. So he does seem to have a lot of injuries, Nat.
I'm hoping it's in the rearview mirror like the rest of us, but we'll have to proceed with caution, I suppose, and see how it rolls. But yeah, it's a concern. So, Presen, my buddy from India, asked me, considering the strong window that we've had, and if everyone stays healthy, how would you measure Unai Emery next summer? And I think in a roundabout way, Presen, what you're asking is, could he be on the hot seat this year if we don't perform, if we don't make top four, if we struggle, given the money that we just spent? We splashed and got Nicolas Pepe, which is an unreal. The footballing world is still in shock. They're all in denial, but that was a massive, massive splash for the Arsenal. I think that Emery has to make top four this season. If we fall fifth again, I think he'll be on the hot seat. I think they'll give him maybe one more season. I hope that it works out this year, and I'm confident that it will. I think we're going to see the best of Unai Emery. His second year with the club, he knows the players. He's bringing in his players. The starting lineup will be now more filled with players that, are his players for the most part versus, the past regime. So I'm excited. I think that Emery's going to have a hell of a season. But yeah, if he doesn't, do well this season, if the club doesn't do well, it could be trouble for Emery. So, AFC Oba. I don't have this person's name and it doesn't say where they're from, but thank you so much for sending in the question. What do you think of the other top 6 clubs' windows? If I'm being honest, and I think the media is actually sort of taking the same stance that I am, this summer transfer window belonged to North London, baby. Arsenal and those pricks down the road. But in all seriousness, the Spurs had a good window. It pains me to say. Tanguy is phenomenal. That's a great pickup for them. I know Lo Celso's only a loan, but if Eriksen leaves, now or next year, that's a great player to have. Good for them. It's got there is a loan with an option to buy, so that's good for them. And they brought in Ryan Sessegnon. So, he didn't have a great year in the Prem last year at Fulham, but he's young. He's a fullback, and he's an exciting young English player that people that know his game well have said we have not seen the best of his game in the Premier League. So I'm excited to see, how he does, because, he's another English player. England is my backup squad from the U.S. when when I'm watching national competitions, like the World Cup and whatnot. I do support England. But while he's in that white kit, he can go pound sand. He can eat shit. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how their window stacks up versus ours. Those are the 2 best windows. I think it's Arsenal here and it's Spurs next. After that, Chelsea had the ban. United was really disappointing. I know I said they did nothing earlier, but they did strengthen the back. They brought in Wan-Bissaka, who was the most exciting young player last season, probably, in the Premier League out of Palace. And they brought in Harry Maguire, who they overpaid for. But if he came to the Arsenal, we would all be ecstatic. Is he kind of big and clumsy at times? Yes, but he also has amazing footwork at times. And there's, you've seen clips of him splitting defenders, or splitting 2 players and dancing around like he thinks he's Neymar. It's really odd. He's a sound defender. That's going to be a good pickup, but that's really all they did. They sold their striker. They didn't bring in another one. I guess they're going to depend on Martial and Rashford, but I just don't have a lot of confidence in their manager, and I just don't think they did enough. And they were 6th last season, so they needed to have a big window. They didn't. Their fans are pissed. They should be pissed. And I don't think United is going to do very well. City and Liverpool are going to go 1-2. 3rd and 4th is going to be between Spurs and Arsenal. But Chelsea did nothing in the window. Like I said about United. Liverpool, they didn't do too much. They didn't really need to. Neither did City, even though they brought in Rodri. And Cancelo, I know they brought in a couple of players at the end. They're already stacked. It's like a dream team. It's not even fair, to be honest, the way it's done. It's just blood money, and they're just too stacked, so it's a topic that I hate. But anyhow, their 2 windows weren't that great, in my opinion. They were good enough for what they wanted to do. Cities was strong, actually, but Liverpool didn't do too much. They didn't have to. Neither club. They're very, very strong as it is. So Arsenal, Tottenham won that window 100%. So the Nelson era, my buddy Kev at That Gooner Kev. Most important summer signing for the Arsenal. You guys are going to think I'm crazy when I say this. I want you guys to answer this as well. Make sure you comment because I'm very interested to see what everybody, how everybody answers this question. What is everyone's most important signing? Mine is William Saliba. And I know that is an answer that people are like, what? We don't even get to see him play this year. I don't care. What Arsenal are doing right now is they are building something for the next few years. They're not going season by season. They're building something. The youngsters are emerging. The core of the players we brought in are young. Pepe's young. Tierney's young. Saliba, Martinelli, even Ceballos is young. You know, if we end up making that permanent. We're getting younger. We're getting faster. This is an exciting time to be an Arsenal fan. But the reason why I choose Saliba is because he is the future center back that we all wanted, hopefully. You know, that he is the chip that could be so exciting to have in a couple of seasons. He could be, you know, our Vertonghen, you know, or our Toby. He really could. Spurs wanted him. There were other clubs that were in for him. This is a player that was wanted at a young age in the French league and has been highly touted. And if you ask any of the analysts, if you watch any of the scouting reports when the signing was made, many of them were head over heels about what a great signing it was. And I know we don't get to see him play this season, but the most important thing is we need to fix the back. And they've put a Band-Aid on it this year with David Luiz and what we have. But next season, it's going to get even better. And if next season they go out and they spend that Pepe money on an Upamecano, a Kanate, you know, a Kamara, Bukayo Kamara, these are defenders that you want, and you want them young before they get snatched up by Bayern Munich or Real Madrid or Barcelona or Manchester City. So we're in a very good position to have two very strong young defenders that we can build around with, by the way, Kieran Tierney and Hector Bellerin. What a defense all of a sudden for years. And I know I'm talking about a player that we don't even have yet, but it's an exciting acquisition for the club. So I'd love to see how you guys answer that question. Who is the most important signing of the window? And last but not least, how will Pepe transition to the Premier League with Arsenal? I think the beauty of it is he didn't sign with a club that's already a mess like United, and they're changing things around left and right. And he didn't sign with a Crystal Palace or a Newcastle. You know, he signed with the Arsenal, who have an attack with two of the best strikers on the planet. So he's coming into a team that can already score goals, that already has firepower, speed. He's going to fit right in. I think that he's going to hit the ground running, and you're going to see a lot of assists out of him as well. A lot of people are excited about his goals, 22 goals, but he had 11 assists in France. I'm excited about that because playing with those phenomenal players, and oh, by the way, you've got Mesut Ozil that is feeding him. Ceballos when Ozil isn't in. You've just got so many offensive talents in this club that I just see the kid shining. He's going to fit right in. It's the defense that we need to worry about. So, guys, I cannot thank you enough for sending over your questions. Hopefully we can do this maybe once a week, something like this. I would love to collaborate more with some other guys with their channels and whatnot. I know I'm going to be doing that with Sonny soon. And maybe we'll bring you guys some stuff that gets a little spicier than just Billy's home office where he does all his technology sales every day when he's not talking about Arsenal. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Any of the questions that I answered, I'd love to hear your answers too. And thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for sending over the questions. You guys have a good night. It was a fantastic window. The weekend is coming, baby. We will smoke Newcastle 3-1. Love you guys. Take care.